Michael, thank you once again for the time and welcome to CDI Tech Summit 3. We have over 1,000 customers attending, and thank you very much for joining us today.
Absolutely, Rich. Great to be with you. And thanks to you and Eric for being wonderful partners. You deliver great value to customers, and really proud to be your partner, and grateful for the collaboration, and thrilled to be part of this event.
Excellent. So my understanding is we're starting off with rapid fire, which I was happy your team agreed to. So my understanding of the rules of rapid fire are no answer can be more than 10 seconds, just to learn a little bit more about Michael Dell, if that's okay with you.
Okay.
All right. What is your favorite song?
Anything Rolling Stones, Jimi Hendrix, The Doors.
All right. Well, that's the next one. Is what was your favorite band? So if you had to pick between those three, who you got?
I'd probably go with the Stones.
Okay. What did you binge watch during COVID?
What did I binge watch? I'm not really much of a binge watcher.
All right. Same here, whatever that's worth. Favorite celebrity you've ever met?
Favorite celebrity? Adam Sandler.
Okay. What are you reading right now?
Noise by Daniel Kahneman.
Okay. What was your first job? Well, I think we might all know this, but what was your first job?
Dishwasher, Chinese restaurant, 12 years old.
Excellent, excellent. Your team asked for this one, and my reply was, I don't think Michael uses emojis, but they claimed, and everyone wants to know, what is your favorite emoji?
It would be either the thank you or the smile, maybe the thumbs up. I kind of bounce around those three.
All right.
Sometimes a handshake too. That's a good one.
I like the handshake and sometimes the fist bump for some team building. So
yes.
Last two. Favorite U.S. city to visit?
I love New York.
All right, excellent. Well, I'll get to this later. You and I are neighbors in New York City, so I'd like to get your thoughts on the post-COVID return. I see your building from my window every night. So
yes.
Favorite international city to visit?
I love Tokyo. I love Paris.
Okay. Well, thank you for participating in Rapid Fire. That was fun. And I live up on the Upper West Side, so I do see, right into the Midtown and all the expansion that's gone on there. So moving on to some of the business stuff. What is the biggest mistake you see new CEOs make, and what advice would you give a new CEO now with all these years of experience under your belt?
I would say, inaction is certainly a mistake. I mean, look, I wouldn't over-index to how people perceive you, and I would really focus on, customers, on what you need to do to be successful, and deliver and execute, and don't get distracted by what people are saying. The pundits don't matter. Don't listen to the pundits.
Well, you can't please everybody. That's for sure. So in the channel community, I've been at CDI over 20 years, and we're obviously seeing a unique trend right now, right? So as things have gone software defined, digital transformation, multi-cloud, the operating models obviously change, and that's presented opportunity for partners, but it's also presented some challenges, right? For some, it's expensive to build maybe some of those capabilities and to grow to where they know they need to go and to where their customers want them to go. So we've seen this sort of influx of private equity into the channel. It's obvious. It's been going on for a few years now. CDI is a prime example, right? We have a private equity investor and One Equity Partners. It's been an amazing experience for us as we've partnered up with other tier one partners to ultimately, at the end of the day, bring more value to our customers and bring it quicker in a more efficient way, and bring the customers what they want from the people they want it from, right? And it's been a great experience for CDI and our partner companies, high availability, Plan B, P5, things like that. In talking to some Dell executives about essentially the defragmentation of the partner community, because at the end of the day, that is what it is, right? It's a defragmentation of what is a pretty fragmented community over the last 25, 30 years. Some Dell execs that I speak with, they love it. It's less people to sort of manage and or sort of put on the right path. They can be more efficient with their time. Others feel they're a little concerned about it, right? You have all these, kind of maybe regional companies maybe being absorbed up into largers, and they're worried about what that will do and things like that. Just curious your take in general into the sort of private equity sort of influx into the channel community. Your thoughts on that?
I think my experience is that private equity can be a powerful and positive force to catalyze change and really change a business's mindset to be more medium and long term. And one thing we know about this business is that it continues to evolve rapidly, and doing what worked for you 5 or 10 years ago today is not the formula, right? And so it's change or die, quick or dead. And so I think, organizations combining with the support of private equity with a more long-term horizon and evolving businesses to deal with all the incredible opportunities that are out there, right? On the edge, 5G, the explosion in data, all the opportunities with AI. I think that's all positive and needed to be positioned for the future.
I laughed there a little bit when you said change or die. That is, I say it on every town hall. I say it at all the sales QBRs. I've been saying it for the last 10 years. I'm a big believer in technology, that exactly what you just said. With the pace of change right now, if I look at CDI's business model now versus 3-5, I mean, it's different. It's completely different, right? And private equity to me has just enabled us and our partner companies to change and evolve and for the better of our clients at a faster pace, at a more efficient rate. I think it's great for the customers, more importantly. So excellent. So you're running a $90 billion company. When the alarm goes off in the morning, what gets you out of bed? What's motivating you at this point to get up at 4, 5, 6, whenever you get going here? What goes through your head when the alarm goes off?
Well, first of all, I love to sleep. So since you mentioned alarm clocks, sleep is really important. So I like to go to sleep a little bit earlier, and I track my sleep with my Oura ring. Almost never get up to an alarm. So I almost always set the alarm, but I almost always get up before the alarm. And look, I'm excited by the incredible impact that technology has on the world, and the role that Dell Technologies has been able to play in helping our customers in that. And when I think about all the organizations that are evolving and changing and being enabled by technology, and how that is advancing, human outcomes and success and potential in the world, that's what excites me and motivates me every day.
Well, it is amazing, right? When you started as PC centric, right? And now, to your point, I mean, technology is changing the way we do everything, right? The way we interact, the way we communicate, the way we raise our kids, even at some level. So it's actually one of the things I enjoy about the job as well, whether it's a hospital we're helping, or, a philanthropy organization or museum or whatever it may be. You just get to touch a lot of outcomes that affect a lot of people. So speaking of colleges and things like that, especially considering your background, I'm very interested to your thoughts on this. We're seeing sort of a trend where people are not necessarily going to school at the percentage they used to. They maybe the debt incurred, or they want to go right into the workforce. We see coders coming out at 15, 16, 18 years old, joining organizations, application developers, things like that. So even at CDI, we just have had an influx of applicants that maybe didn't go to school, which was never a hard requirement for us to begin with, but they're bringing tremendous experience at a very young age. And the conversation is just a little bit different than maybe it was 10 years ago. So curious to your thoughts on if you're, an 18-year-old right now and you have the option to go to college, or you have the option to start coding or do whatever you want to do in the IT community, a path there that you personally see advantageous to one or the other, and also Dell's position on hiring applicants without a college degree.
Well, obviously very personal decision in terms of how somebody thinks about their education and that investment over time, and whether they have the resources to be able to do that. We, like a lot of companies, have evolved to what I would call skills over degrees, which is to say we're more interested in the skills that people have than necessarily the degrees. And that's opened up the aperture to a much wider range of candidates. And, that's helped us, as a company. I think more and more organizations are moving in that direction, which is good. And as you said, there are a lot more options for people today in terms of how they can acquire those skills and gain that knowledge. But it's going to be a personal decision at the end of the day for each individual in terms of how they navigate their future. I certainly wouldn't discourage people from taking the opportunity to gain as much as they can in knowledge, if they're given the opportunity to do so through education.
The skills over degree sort of, is that new to Dell, or has it been that way for some time?
I'd say it's been evolving in that direction for several years. And, it's not completely new. So this has been going on for many years.
Okay, excellent. Well, I guess along those lines, you've obviously been based out of Texas for some time, right? 40 some odd years, I believe. And now we're seeing some pretty big companies, come into Texas, like Tesla, HP, and others, Apple, Facebook. Has that changed, or the way you recruit, the way you retain, the cultural dynamics you feel required to attract? Because it's a bit of a different animal now with those companies from Silicon Valley sort of coming into Dell's sort of home and backyard. Has that change the way you go about it, or how do you go about sort of competing with those companies to get the best and brightest technical talent?
Well, the good news is in Central Texas, we have over 400,000 college students, within like 100 or so mile radius area of where we are headquartered. And so there is an enormous available base of talent that generally wants to stay in that area. So haven't really had to change our practices or approach. We're the largest employer in the area. We are able to attract lots of people. We don't really have a big problem with turnover. People like to work at the company, and they get great opportunities to grow and develop inside the business. And Central Texas, Austin, that whole area continues to grow super fast. And there are lots of tech companies. It's really more of a technology and biotech, healthcare town than anything else. And that's great. Gives people more options. But I'd say it's all been pretty positive.
We had an influx of the West Coast companies coming to New York about 5-6 years ago. Like Google opened up a big campus and things like that. And CDI, it didn't really affect us too much, but we had a lot of our customers, like the private equity firms, the hedge funds, the banks. They were struggling. But by their own admission, we'd have client advisory boards. And I'm thinking of one about 4 years ago, where one of the larger PEs in the city said, we're just having a hard time recruiting. It could be anything. It could be the dress code. It could be the office environment. It could be just they were struggling. So they actually opened up a separate building or campus across the street. So the investors and sort of the banking aspect of the firm went to Park Avenue on this side of the street, but on this side was the IT campus. And it was a completely different approach to cultural environment, dress code, vacation time. I mean, it was almost like a separate company, but it enabled them, I can't use their name, but they're extremely large PE, enabled them to compete with the Googles and what they were, it worked at the end of the day. And you actually read about it in Business Journal, but it did affect the way I think we recruited and our customers recruited, going back about 4 or 5 years. So it seems like now that's happening in Texas a little bit. So it'll be interesting to see, but yeah, that is true. I mean, you guys have an amazing college base down there for sure.
Yeah, I think people want to know that they have the tools and the environment to be successful and to learn and grow and develop and reach their full potential. And that's something we certainly strive to provide.
Well, our Dell colleagues up and down the East Coast here, they've been there 10, 15, 20 years and very loyal and very happy. So obviously doing a lot right. So congratulations again. Your new book. So I already mentioned that I loved Change or Die. I use it myself. I equally love the title of the new book, Play Nice But Win. Just love the title. Love the title. So why now for the book? What was the impetus to write the book now? And what do you think someone will take away from it that maybe they didn't have before they read the book?
Well, it's a lot has happened in the last couple of decades, and certainly, the last 5 or 7 years have been quite fun and interesting. Going private, combining with EMC and VMware, and going public again, and a lot of people said, "Hey, you should write a book." I did write a book back in 1998, but as I said, lots happened since then. So it's 336 pages of fun. Doesn't leave a lot of room for interpretation. It's all in there, and I think people will enjoy it.
Excellent. So this is your second book?
Yes.
Okay. Well, it's on. To be honest, I'm not a huge reader, and then I got that in the notes here, and I'm actually gonna pick that one up and take a read. I'm looking forward to it. So I see you seem to have a tremendous, work-life balance, very happily, married, you're very involved with your family, with your children, things like that. And what advice these years later now, having raised the kids and built Dell to what it is, would you give to a younger executive with younger children about how to sort of win both games, right? Not just win at work, but win at home and win on both ends of the candle.
Yeah, I would first realize that, if you overdo either side of the equation, it's probably not going to work out very well. And there are diminishing returns to the number of hours, doing any activity, right? And, to be, I think, truly happy, you have to create your own sense of balance. And that comes from finding, purpose and passion in your life, being part of something greater than yourself. Obviously, connecting yourself, marrying somebody that you love is super important. And, if you do all of that, you surround yourself with smart people, and if you're in charge in some way, empowering them and making sure you find the best people you can. I think that's probably going to lead to some good success.
All right. Well, I agree. I got my wife and kids pictures behind me here, and I've had a great run at CDI. It's been a great 20 years, and whether it's been coincidence or not, a lot of the colleagues I have here are very fortunate to have what you've experienced, which is a great career at CDI. But, we've had a lot of company events, just great families, great relationships with the kids. And, there is a balance there. And if you can strike it, it's an amazing experience. So thank you. So pivoting to technology for a second, VMware, right? So CDI has always been double down on VMware. We were one of the first VMware partners in the early 2000s. I remember doing vMotion demos, like, proving to a customer vMotion would work and unplugging the server, and they wouldn't buy it unless you could demo it. I mean, that would be obviously insane to do a vMotion demo, right? But that's how it was in the early 2000s. And back then, I felt if as the integrator, if you won the ESX war, right? Like if you were the VMware partner, you were going to win the data center, right? You were going to sell the Clarion, you were going to sell the servers, but you had to win the ESX VMware war first. And then everything else sort of followed. And that really worked for CDI over time. So that's 20 years ago. If I look at it today, my position on it is you have to win the container war, right? There is a lot of competitive dynamics with the customer's container strategy and what they're going to do. And there's OpenShift, and there's Tanzu, and there's VMware, and there's Google's offering, and Cisco just came out with something. And we are seeing a lot of success with the VMware stack. We've had some really nice Tanzu wins. It has dragged a ton of success for CDI and for Dell, infrastructure end-to-end, great outcomes for the client. And we're really investing in that space heavily, right? We just got our master competency and all that fun stuff in the Tanzu stack. So we've always been sort of a big bet on VMware, and we're doubling down on that now. We're seeing some great outcomes for some of our biggest customers as they operationalize containers, right? A lot of people went to the cloud. They got container, delivery and the experience through a service portal. They got it instantly at Amazon. They were told or need to keep a lot of their applications or want to keep on-prem, but they want the same experience, and they got to figure out their container operating model. So obviously we're betting big with VMware and Tanzu. So the question becomes, A, would love your thoughts on the container landscape, and B, the biggest pro and the biggest con of splitting off VMware from Dell?
So you characterized it correctly. And look, I think VMware has evolved from, the virtualization company to the software-defined data center company to the multi-cloud company enabling digital transformation. And certainly embedding containers inside vSphere and creating a consistent way to operate infrastructure, whether it's in the public cloud or the private cloud, at the edge, and creating that true multi-cloud experience for customers. That's the winning formula, and that's clearly what we're providing. And of course, Dell Technologies together with VMware have made it really easy, with things like VxRail and all of our solutions oriented around the VMware Cloud Foundation, which is that powerful way to create a true multi-cloud architecture. What we created in the last 5 years together has been super powerful. And the spin that's going to occur, which is not a sale, we're distributing the shares that we own to our shareholders, will occur later this year, allows us to preserve everything that we've been doing together strategically in terms of new products, innovations, customer and partner engagement. So absolutely none of that changes for customers. And it increases flexibility for both companies, cleans up the balance sheet, and creates a lot of value. So really excited about this next chapter. The partnership and alliance is going to stay super strong. I'll continue to be the chairman of both companies, and customers, partners shouldn't see any change whatsoever. And as you said, very excited about the innovations continuing to come out of the VMware team.
Yeah, it's been, it not to go back 20 years in time, but it just reminds me so much of that, because the customers are literally figuring out what horse are they going to ride? What's the operating model? How are they going to deliver the container services? What automation are they going to leverage? How are they going to software define? How are they going to service up delivery of Kubernetes through a service portal? It's all a lot has to be decided. Just like 20 years ago, you had to decide, am I going to use ESX? If so, where, when, why, and how? And there's just a lot of value we can collectively bring to our customers as they make those decisions going forward. And we're really excited about it. Any negatives to the move with VMware?
I don't think so. We thought about it quite carefully and wanted to make sure that we could continue to deliver everything that we have to customers and partners. And if we didn't feel that way, I don't think we would have done it.
Excellent. So keeping with the sort of the partnership and adjacency of a company, let's talk about Cisco for a little bit. So CDI was a big VBlock, big VCE, proponent. Our customers loved the VBlock. We sold them, I literally think, to all of our big accounts. We went through a huge growth. We really weren't in the x86 market too well. We didn't partner much with HP at the time or Dell at the time. And, Cisco and UCS and Converged Infrastructure and the customers just ate it up, and the VMAX on the back end. And we won so many, competitive campaigns against Oracle or whoever else may have been at the time. And those units are all still over, the city behind me here, right? We're still doing, new ones, refreshes, and we got ones that are only 1, 2, 3, 4 years old, running some of the most mission critical banking workloads in all of Manhattan. And the customers have loved the experience. It's been great. I think VCE, to me personally, was a tremendous experience for everybody involved. So when you look at Cisco now and maybe the next 5 years, how do you view the partnership with VCE, with Cisco in general? Because obviously things are a little different now.
So as you said, VBlock is a fantastic solution. And, as sort of the creators of converged infrastructure, continuing to lead that platform, it's been highly valued by large numbers of mission critical customers, and we continue to develop that and create new versions and obviously keep it updated and running at the highest level. there's some great ways that we partner with Cisco, some overlaps. I think the overlaps are becoming less and less, and Chuck and I continue to have a great personal relationship, and we look forward to finding ways to continue to grow that together. If I had one ask for Chuck, it would be, hey, you talked a lot about VMware success. Embrace our friends at VMware a little more than you have in the past, and I think things will work even better with Dell Tech together.
Well, I can tell you as a big Cisco partner, I would love to see that as well. I think it benefits the client, right? As more than anybody. Everybody runs Dell, Cisco, and VMware.
Absolutely,
come together with a good partner in the middle, and I think that ultimately the customers benefit from something like that. So
yeah, I mean, the Venn diagram of intersection there is incredibly high, and so at the end of the day, customers want us to work together to deliver solutions that add a lot of value. When we do that, we all win.
Agree. Moving to security for a second. So we're seeing a lot of colleagues we know, whether they be sales, engineering, CEOs. You saw, CEO of Pure just went over to Laceworks. We're seeing a bit of a move from some of our traditional colleagues into, really diving into security, right? And a lot of these companies are new, and I don't want to name others, but there's a lot of new security companies out there. And when you look at Dell's security strategy, do you see that as a build from the ground up, or maybe look from an acquisitional standpoint as things progress with multi-cloud and so on and so forth?
So it's a huge topic, and we do have a substantial security business, and the ransomware attacks have become particularly dangerous. I mean, you saw just in the news recently the JBS, obviously Colonial Pipeline, CNA Insurance, the cyber recovery vault that we built from the ground up, 5+ years ago is really growing super fast, and is the only air-gapped solution that addresses this ransomware threat in a significant way. And that, combined with all the capabilities in VMware, SecureWorks as a great platform to help our customers deal with the security challenges. We continue to invest heavily, in this space, both organically and inorganically. And if you look at our Dell Tech Ventures team, making about one investment a week, a lot of them are in security. And so, we're active in the space, and certainly very focused also on embedded security in every product that we create and every solution we create, to help address the threats which continue to increase. And as we go to this kind of edge platform where everything is intelligent and connected, the attack surface becomes much larger. It's obviously super important, and we've seen that with critical infrastructure being compromised just here in the last few weeks.
So obviously with work from anywhere sort of becoming a reality, right, for most organizations. At CDI, case in point, we've adopted a work from anywhere policy. That's created great opportunity, for employees and choice and things like that. But it's also created more to secure, right? You got to secure in a different way. So when you look at Dell's plans for return to work, both from a social perspective post-COVID, I guess I'd like to focus there. How are you, from a return to work perspective? What are your thoughts on work from anywhere versus before COVID, and general Dell's position on return to work post-COVID?
So we started, kind of a flexible work situation, back in the 2000s. So we already had 25% or so of our team working remotely before COVID. After COVID, it wouldn't surprise me if it's 50-60% or something like that. And I think flexibility is going to be key. It's obviously highly valued by our team members, and Look, there's going to be there are going to be events and times when teams come together to collaborate and be in person, but it's not going to be every day for every worker. I think we've all lived through the experiment of this, and we have learned behaviors that, hey, it does work very well to work from anywhere for many things. Not all things, not all the time, but I think that hybrid work approach is going to be broadly adopted by organizations, and of course that comes with it, technology needs, security challenges as well. But nobody's given out awards for being the first back into the office. I think we're taking a careful, thoughtful approach. Some of our offices are beginning to open, and around the world. Obviously, each country, each region is in a little bit different situation, but it's good to see the world starting to return to some sense of normalcy.
I grew up in the sales division here at CDI, and I've actually been on some calls in the background where you would attend or video in for the kind of like, the closing deal or this or that, right? I think the executive touch will never be the same. A lot of that, people always try to force that in person, and the meeting would be 5 months out. And, it takes time to get multiple executives aligned physically. And I think just, the role that the reach of an executive, having it be much more sort of common practice, just video into, to the conference room and video out. From what we're seeing so far, it's just more access to everyone, whether they be executives throughout the organization, and obviously quicker access, right? The ability to just get everyone aligned on the calendar quicker without being, relying on a physical presence. It's been great.
Absolutely. We found in the customer meetings, more people show up because it's easier, and it's a lot easier to get the best experts in the world. So, if we're talking about the cyber vault, for example, right? Or how you design, a multi-cloud architecture with, network segmentation and, SD-WAN optimization across, thousands of locations. Well, gee, we can get the best experts in the world and get them on video. That's way easier than sort of physically moving them around through time and space.
And even recruiting. I mean, we've got employees probably in 35 states now. It might have been a third of that pre-COVID, because the whole dynamic. And also that, I think that touches also a little bit on the next topic, which is when you look at, digital transformation means a lot of things to a lot of people, but the way we communicate with our employees, our customers, the way we manufacture, I mean, everything is up for grabs in terms of digitizing it and creating a workflow that, creates a better outcome. So when you're out there with your enterprise clients, what's the biggest challenge they're telling you they see during their digital transformation?
I think the challenge is more cultural and less about the technology per se. I mean, I think everybody understands that the technology ingredients. The good news is that the last period of time we've all gone through has sort of woken a lot of people up to say, wow, technology is sort of the only thing that really worked during the lockdowns. And we need a lot more of that. And it's not just the IT department, it's actually how we enable cross-selling and customer acquisition and marketing and everything across our entire business. So how do we go much faster? It's become the CEO and the business line executive priorities. And good news is people are focused a lot more on how they can accelerate that digital journey, and nobody's going back to the way it was, right? So you've seen lots of banks, for example, where the online banking just went 5 or 10 years ahead of where they had planned, over a period of weeks. Well, once customers have learned that behavior, are they going to go back to the way it was before? I don't think so.
Yeah. Well, even in New York here, whether it's the parking garage or the local Italian restaurant down the street, I mean, everything's off the phone now and book your reservation and the app. But pre-COVID, that really wasn't the case unless it was a very sort of high-end, dining establishment or something like that. I mean, in my neighborhood, in the Upper West Side, I mean, almost the whole neighborhood, you can do something off the phone, whether it's reserve your table or order your food. And it just wasn't like that 15 months ago. It happened.
Exactly. So if you take those learned experiences multiplied by, sort of every aspect of society you could imagine, that's a real leap forward in digital enablement.
Agreed. So pivoting to sort of some of the social dynamics right now, what is the role you see Dell playing in some of the most critical social challenges we're facing today, whether it be inclusion, just the general, momentum of the dynamic right now in the world? How do you see Dell fitting in and assisting with that?
I think companies have a role to play here, and different than, let's say, a company 20 or 30 years ago. And we've been doing this for a while. We've been setting goals for ourselves, long-term commitments. We had a series of 2020 goals that we had set back in 2010. And now we've set our 2030 goals. These are long-range commitments. We focus on advancing sustainability, transforming lives, upholding ethics and privacy. And, we've got some real moonshot goals. We want 50% of our global workforce and 40% of our global leaders to be women by 2030. We want 25% of our US workforce and 15% of our people leaders to be Black and or Hispanic, Latino minorities. We want to transform the lives of 1 billion people through technology, and I think we can make a big difference here. And technology has had a very positive impact in the world in the last several decades, and I think it will continue to. So we're excited, about all the projects that we're doing. And, I think, governments certainly have a role to play here, but ultimately when you have all or significant majority of the world's biggest companies stepping up with things like this, that's going to move the needle in a material way.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. I think just the reach of technology and organizations is with the scale of a Dell, and the speed you can move at, right? I mean, even at your size, you're probably going to move quicker than a government, right?
And our commitments to, net zero for carbon emissions, all the work we're doing in materials around, the circular economy and how we're being super efficient and environmentally friendly in all of our production of materials and recycling the old ones at the end of service.
So you've had an amazing career. Arguably, your name is one that, whether it's my 84-year-old grandmother, or I asked my 8-year-old daughter today at breakfast if she knew who Michael Dell was. What's Daddy doing today, right? So and she did. They use Dell computers at her school uptown. So she's, I had her explain that the Dell is actually a person, and so you've had an amazing impact on business, on society, and a lot of great things. In all that time, tough question, but was there one moment that you're the most proud of, or you look back on with the most gratitude?
Well, it's I've been blessed to have a lot of those moments, Rich. I think one of the things I think a lot about is the sort of echo effect of everything that we're doing, and try to be a good person and do good things. It's fun to think about all the positive lives that have been changed. But it's a thrill. I remember going to some of the kind of Fortune 10 companies, back in the 80s when we were getting started, and seeing a ginormous building filled with our computers, thinking, wow, this is really cool, right? that excited me when I was, 22, 23 years old. It still excites me today, and so if I go in a building and it doesn't have any of our equipment, I'm even more excited to figure out how we can get in there. But look, I mean, you go back and you think about how much the world has changed in a positive way because of technology. It's been a thrill to be a part of that, and looking forward to a lot more. And I'll tell some fun stories about all that in my upcoming book.
Sounds good. Well, you get to fill the building with computers, and you also get to, in certain cases, get your name on the building. So you really have had some great experiences and growth over the years. It's been, look, I've been here 20 years, and the client relationships, the customer relationships, and the relationships with the people at Dell and EMC. I mean, looking at Kevin, known him almost 20 years, and you have those nights when the customer was successful with the project, the vendor and the integrator worked well together, and it just was kind of a win-win-win for everybody involved. And you have one of those, 10 of those, 100 of those, 1,000 of those, and then to me that sort of thrill never goes away. Just having that outcome for the client and our people and our partners' people. So really, again, the Dell partnership. I always say, right or wrong, our relationship with Dell / EMC is like a stock market. Like it's we've had years when it's like this. We've had years, maybe not as good, but it's at an all-time high right now, just numerically, whether it be revenue, synergy technically, synergy with the customers. It's really, just been a tremendous last year for CDI and Dell. Tremendous. Well,
thank you, Rich. And we would like to 10x it from here. So,
so
it's a great start. It's a great start.
I'll take it. So last question. I touched a little bit on the channel dynamics, right? And we're pretty bullish on our plan. We think we can bring, again, additive value to wider customers in a quicker time period by uniting with other great companies. And I think that we're seeing that in our clients, right? We're seeing that in sort of the revenue we're doing with them, but beyond that, just the feedback we're getting, like, oh, you guys do this now, that's great. I really didn't want to work with a newer company. I don't know. I trust CDI. I trust your people, and vice versa for the companies we've partnered with. So when you look at the channel landscape now, what advice would you give someone in my seat or one of my peers over the next 3-4 years when you look at what they need to do to survive and bring value to their customers?
I think what you always need to do is look out and say, all right, where's the world going to be in 5 years with respect to edge and multi-cloud and AI and all the kind of big tectonic forces that are driving change, and how do you increase your relevance with customers in that next 5 years? And that's the challenge for any business, whether it's yours or ours, is to figure that out, right? And if we're successful in adding value and increasing our relevance to the ultimate customer and helping them create the outcomes that drive their success, we'll be even more successful, and we'll have lots great things to celebrate. And Rich, if we don't, we'll just be out of business, right? I mean, that's just the way it works, right? So it's just that simple. And we have to constantly be focused on how we can keep adding value and finding more ways to do it.
So I think you nailed that. And I say it to everyone, we have 2 things to do each day. It's that simple. Protect the customers we have by delivering high quality and doing the right thing by them and by our people. And then win new ones, right? It's a competitive business, right? Every day you got to fight to win against, a valued customer. They have choices, and it's our job to deliver the right technology with the right partnership and bring them the success they need. So listen, Michael, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for joining the CDI Tech Summit 3. It's great to see you once again. I hope to again, maybe in New York one day. And thanks again for your time. Really appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Rich. Really appreciate the partnership. You guys are awesome, and look forward to seeing you in person.